Right.
All right. Welcome to the Gunnar Vibe. I have Varun with me. We are talking about a little delayed, but eventually talking about the win for Arsenal against Everton at Goodison Park. It has obviously been a bad ground for us, bad experience in the past. Even last year, it was defeat to Sean Dyche's team. This time, thankfully, we were able to get one over thanks to a beautiful strike from Leandro Trossard. Um, Talking with me again with Varun, let's
Yeah.
start with the lineup. What do you think about the changes that Arteta made?
No, I think yeah, the changes were pretty good. I think majority of the team remained the same, and I felt Fabio Vieira was given due credit for his, cameo performances last 3 weeks, and I think he deserved to start. And actually, he was very decisive in creation of that goal from that corner. So I feel like it was a good welcome change. I think the only other change, I mean, I think I was actually the David Raya one surprised me, but I felt this was my personal opinion. Like when David Raya was actually holding the ball, I felt more comfortable than when Ramsdale does the same thing, right, playing from the back, and his pass is like his ball distribution was exceptional. So I think Arteta got it spot on. Maybe striker, I would have started Jesus, but I guess he wanted to give Nketiah a run as well. So I think the lineup was pretty good, and I think the people who were knocking on the doors probably in the training, they got the deserved, starting 11. Yep.
Right. Yeah, I was totally surprised by the decision, to be
Yeah.
honest. I didn't expect him to start. I would have thought Ramsdale played with England in the past, what is it called?
Yeah, the international. Yeah, I think.
International break, and I thought Ramsdale would have continued. But like you said, was not troubled at all. Like whatever
Right.
they tried to do long balls, be more stiff. He was able to come and collect the ball easily, so that was good to
Yeah.
see. I know Vieira deserved a place, but knowing that Everton is a physical team, they are big people, players up and down the pitch, I was a little surprised to see Vieira. I would have
Yeah.
thought Havertz, with his physicality, would have started, but I think Vieira gave us some. Cushion, a little bit more sense in our passing. I like that he was also uh, good at his defensive nuances as well. Whenever he or anyone lost the ball, he was tracking back well. What did you
Right.
think about the quote unquote goal that we
Yeah.
scored? Um,
I with the rules that I know of, I felt it was a wrong decision. The pass was made by Gabriel, which actually deflected off the Everton midfielder. So from the rules that I know of, if it hits the defender or if it hits the opposition player, it's no longer offside. I was actually shocked because that was one, and then the second thing was that wasn't actually the final play in terms of goal scoring, which was like the next set of play. So I was confused on those two ends. I think Martinelli's goal should have stood, but I've really not seen any explanation, or at least I haven't read any explanation on why that was totally deemed offside. But yeah, unfortunately, if the rules are upheld that way, yes, he was, just a little bit offside in that first play. But that was my thoughts around it. I don't know what you thought about that.
yeah, it was a little bit weird. I mean, obviously, Nketiah was offside. He was a little,
Right.
I mean, it was close, but it was definitely offside as
Correct.
per the lines that were drawn. But like if you think about it, if would you give offside to let's say a defender who's on the opposite side, where a striker hits the defender and it goes to someone else? Would that be considered offside? If that
Okay.
is the case, if just a deflection gives you an offside, then and I don't think Beto was actually playing the ball. So in that, you're right. In the context of the law, he was never
Right.
off. He was offside definitely, but
Right.
uh, it is. I think it. We make. I mean, the referees try to make the game more complicated by saying these things. If it just cut and dry, like okay, if it's a deflection or if it's something like that, just
Right.
play on. There's too much restriction, and I would have thought the benefit of doubt would have gone to
Striker. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
attacking team instead of a defensive team. So it was a little weird, but once it got reviewed and it went to VAR, I thought, yeah, this is another goal that would be chalked off. So
Yeah. Yeah. Because actually that goal, if we had gotten in, we would have actually probably won 2-0 or 3-0
yeah.
because we like the momentum was there, like we had 80% possession.
Mm.
And it's just that we had to go back to the drawing board after halftime and start all over again. So could have changed the direction of the game, but I mean I'm glad we came back with 3 points. Yeah.
And also the impact right after the goal, or not
Yeah.
not the goal. We lost Martinelli.
Martinelli.
And
Yeah.
until then, like you said, we dominated. We had 80% of the land share of the position, and then we kind of lost it a little bit. They didn't score or did anything with the
Right.
ball, but they did have some position. When Trossard came, he gave the ball away a couple of times. There
Yeah.
was a little bit of hiccup. So first half kind of wandered down when just us still dominating the position, but not really creating a lot. What did you think about the second half was when we started?
I think I think yeah, Trossard coming on was of course a forced substitution, but I felt apart from those few errors, I think Trossard was really effective. Second half, I think the one thing I noticed between the last season's Arsenal versus this season's Arsenal was we were not panicking at all. I think that's where the team has grown. Like it was 0-0 after that goal disallowed, like being disallowed. It's as if this team knew that we will score and we will win the game. I think that has been drilled down by Arteta like very successfully. Kind of like a City, like a Man City mentality, like don't give up, but at the same time don't panic and just pass the ball around. We were very calm, composed, and I think once we got the goal, I also feel like with the defenders that we have, with what Arteta has, he's very confident that even if it's a 1-0, I think we can close this game out, which is exactly what we did at Crystal Palace. So I think that resilience was awesome in the second half, and I think that's just a team level, mentality that Arteta has set, which is I think this mentality is what will make title winning teams. So I'm glad that I think we just chatted before we started the recording. The game was not visually pleasing. Like, there was great moments of play from us, but we actually didn't have clear-cut chances, like as many clear-cut chances, to even make it 3-0 or 4-0. But I think that, like the main goal is win the game even when you don't play well. I think that is what we highlighted and I think we executed. So that was great. I mean, that's a good thing that Arteta has built and I think all his substitutions were spot on as well. He bought in Kai Havertz, he bought in Jesus, and I think some of them kind of like played their part, and we somehow converted that opportunity, which was that was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. It was very, very boring to watch. It was like,
Yeah, I never yeah, like I usually just watch the games, but this game I was so distracted that I didn't feel like watching the 90 minutes, unfortunately. But
it was like it
yeah,
was like I was watching a Man City game, to be honest. It was just passing, passing, passing. But I think
yeah,
there is a thought behind it. Like even if you might have read about how much time Arsenal took on for corners,
yeah,
we probably took about 14 corners in total, and then three
right.
of them were like actually kicking it to the box, but the rest was just short corners.
Short corners.
Took the time. We were also passing around. I believe the thought was just to tire Everton down to
Yeah,
like have them run around, have some space when we can exploit, and that's what we did. We
correct.
Once they switched off and they got in one of our corners, they they just switched off and let Saka run through and give the pass to Trossard.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that short corner is where we got the goal, which was awesome. And I think, as you said, like they have three defensive midfielders in the middle. And I think the other person who needs credit is like Declan Rice. I mean, like we not once. I mean, like Thomas Partey was one of our best players all season, but like I really didn't even notice that he wasn't even in the 11, like in this game. But like he never made us feel like we were defensively like like weak. He was cleaning up like even the few chances that Everton had moving forward, he basically nullified them. And I don't think David Raya even touched like touched the ball even once. I think there was one chance where I think they went through the right hand corner, and I think Raya came forward and he headed it out. But
Mhm.
apart from that, I think David Raya was literally just sitting on his goal doing nothing.
Yeah, there
So
was one shot on goal that they had on target in the first half, which
yeah,
was long range effort. But yeah, you're right. That presence which Declan Rice provides is it
yeah.
cannot really state it any other way. He was able to get around their defense. He was also getting it so close to their box and still able to track back and get the ball back from their attackers. And they have physical attackers too. Beto, DCL, they are physical attackers, and he
Yeah.
was easily outmuscling them, no problem at all.
Oh man, he
So
was fantastic. I mean, yeah, some of his tackles were so clean and like he just made it seem it was like, not like a big deal. But I think that's kind of like one of the reason we are a little bit different this season, right? Like Declan Rice coming in, maybe we're not as fluid as like, how we had at part like having Partey at the back, but it's just a different set of people. Like I think Havertz, Rice and like, all these new guys. Timber unfortunately is gone, but um, I think we're slowly settling in now, and I'm glad that we got the win because next week is gonna be huge. I mean, first thing is like the Champions League game. At least get the first win, hopefully, to start our group stage, and then I think the weekend game is gonna be absolutely madness because if we get the win over, we'll be back in the top dog. So hopefully we can hand over. So there was a funny theme going on every time Tottenham's manager has got the manager of the month, they kind of lose the next game and like the next few games, and then their manager has gotten sacked. So like I think there's Jose Mourinho and then Nuno, and then I think they were messing around with this new manager. So hopefully we, for some reason, weirdly Tottenham has been playing very freely, like without like Harry Kane's goals, which is surprising. I didn't expect them to be so high flying, but I feel like at least at the Emirates we should be confidently defeating them. So let's see how that goes.
yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure. I think they have changed their tactics also. If you see some of their games, they are both their fullbacks inverting as a box shape with
Right,
the
right.
with the central defensive midfielder in the middle. So there's like a five-player middle
Five player.
block with their two center backs. So it's interesting how they have set up. There is definitely going to be uh, gaps in the defense that we should be able to take, especially with Saka. I hope Martinelli.
Martinelli, yeah. Any news on Martinelli? I didn't read anything.
Yeah, as of today, Arteta said prior to the PSV game that he's not going to be involved.
Okay,
There is still some tests that they have to do. It seems like there is a muscular issue. So the hope is it's not a hamstring injury, because if it is, then it's going to be
right,
3 weeks out.
right.
But if it is not, then maybe he will be in the bench probably for the Spurs game. But
Yeah,
coming back to the PSV game that we have tomorrow, what are your thoughts? Obviously, we have now it's at that time of the season where we'll have back-to-back midweek game and then weekend games. We have Carabao Cup game
yeah.
next week against Brentford again. So after the Tottenham game, so do you think there is scope for switching the teams, maybe have benching some of the regulars, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think tomorrow, I think again, since it's a home game, of course Trossard will start over Martinelli, and I think the first couple of games, I don't think in Champions League Arteta will experiment a lot, just to get those 2, 3 wins out of the way, and maybe the the last couple of games of the Champions League group stage, maybe we can switch around. But I think he'll definitely play full strength tomorrow as well as Sunday. But I think the Brentford game, as you said, on the EFL slash, the Carabao Cup, I think he'll play a little less severe team, like, not the first teamers, just to give them a breather. Because then the following week we play Man City. So I think we have 4 games. All are like competitive, like, Champions League, three different competitions. So hopefully, first game, I'm pretty sure he's going to play full strength for the Champions League tomorrow. And then same at the weekend, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same. I think there's going to be, and we have heard Arteta said in the past that he expects his players to play 3 times a week. That's why
Yes.
Saka has never been getting any rest. So I would expect Saka to start for sure. Do you think there will be some reshuffling on the attacking side instead of Nketiah, maybe Jesus
Yeah.
stepping or some
I
other
have a
change?
feeling Jesus will be given a nod to start up front. I feel Trossard, of course, will fill in on the right, on Martinelli's side, and I think Partey is injured as well still. I think so. I'm not gonna like. I don't think he's gonna be back, but maybe Vieira would get another outing tomorrow instead of Kai Havertz. But I think apart from that, I don't know who the keeper is gonna be, because if you heard Arteta say that, there's no number one, right? There's no like starting 11 that's fixed. Anything can happen. So I feel like that's his way of keeping everyone on their toes, so which is good. So maybe I see, like, in the back, couple of guys, maybe Ben White is switched for like Tomiyasu or something like that. He definitely needs to rotate, because I think this team needs to be given enough rest between like big competitions, because we were in the Europa League last season, but this year it's different. It's one notch above, and like we cannot, if we are in it to win it, I think we need to go full strength. And I think even on the wings, I feel Nelson deserves a chance. Reece Nelson has been good. Against Man United, I think both the goals were actually created by him.
Mm,
At least started the move. So I think he deserves a start as well. So
yeah.
so let's see how Arteta manages everyone. And yeah, let's see. Next 3 games are vital.
Yeah, I mean, the rest of the games in October, sorry, September is vital going into the next international break. In fact,
Yeah.
that Man City game that you said is going to be huge because it's obviously we are talking about October and these could be vital Premier League winning
Yeah.
games. Like,
I feel the home game, I feel like we every time struggle like to play against Man City, home or away. I feel at least at the Emirates we need to be more confident and, like, take a different approach. So yeah, let's see. It's
but,
it's down the road. Let's go game by game
yeah,
and just get the win tomorrow and then hope for the weekend. So we'll do one after the Tottenham game as well. So
yeah,
yeah,
like Arteta says on his players says, take one game at a time.
one game at a time. Yes.
We'll probably stop at that. I know it's midweek and we have a game coming up tomorrow that obviously we are looking forward to. We'll
Yes.
we'll talk about
Sounds
that
good.
game. We'll talk about the Spurs game later on this week or at the end of the week.
Yeah.
But any closing words before we wrap up?
Just hoping for a 1-0 or 2-0 win. And the only hope for me is get the early goals before halftime and then rest your big players. That's what I think Pep Guardiola does. So I
Mm,
hope if we can get those couple of goals ahead with PSV, rest Saka, etc. for the second half, let other people play. I think that type of game management we haven't reached yet. We haven't reached that point like Man City yet. But I hope that is something that we build this season. So yeah,
yeah, yeah, agree. Plus, we have a bigger squad now, so obviously, once we
yeah.
have gotten ahead in the games, we should try and get more goals. I think that might be the next step for this team. But
Yeah, yeah. We haven't been having the flurry of goals like last season yet, but I hope, at least put the smaller games to bed early enough and give your big guys a rest. That's my hope for tomorrow night. Yeah.
yeah. All right, well, we'll stop there and Thanks for joining, Varun, on short
No
notice.
problem, Arun. Thank you so much, and hope to see everyone after the next game.
Yeah, come on, you
Yeah.
Gunners.
Thank you. Go Gunners.